Last of Us Part 2, The Last of Us... Oh, sorry. You caught me in the middle of praising The Last of Us Part 2, the sequel to The Last of Us. What? You've never played The Last of Us? Well then, you'd be classified as a special person. But okay, in all seriousness, what is The Last of Us? The Last of Us is a survival zombie adventure story game developed by Naughty Dog. It stars Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson, directed by Neil Druckmann and Bruce Straley. The Last of Us was released exclusively for PS3 back in 2013, later on PS4 in 2014. The game won 200 awards. It won Game of the Year. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic, whatever, where a fungal infection has spread across the United States and is controlling people, turning them into zombies. You play as a smuggler named Joel, who takes a simple delivery of a girl named Ellie, who is immune to the infection.
I'm not infected.
No? I'm just lying.
To the Fireflies, as the Fireflies believe she holds the cure to the infection. But the simple delivery turns into a journey across the country, trying to get this girl to the Fireflies. Now, before you say anything like, this game is degrading towards women, it corrupts the youth with violence, just listen to me, alright? Let me explain why The Last of Us is such an amazing piece of art. As previously mentioned, The Last of Us is a story game, a heavily driven one, so it really relies on the plot and characters. A lot of the game is told through environmental storytelling, meaning information is told through just the gameplay, like exposition or character details, etc. I think the start of the game does the best job at this. In the prologue, you play as Joel's daughter, Sarah. Considering the fact that you're a little girl, and this is a zombie game, and this is before the outbreak, you know, it's not hard to guess what happens.
Sarah. Baby.
But the little time you have with Sarah is nice. You have this nice little scene between her and Joel.
Honey, it's what? Nice, but I think it's stuck. It's not.
What? No. Oh, ha.
Where did you get the money for this?
Drugs.
As you play the prologue, you witness unsettling things. Like, you read a newspaper about the infection, there's a news broadcast that ends prematurely, some cop cars pass by, you hear a dog die, and other little details that give you the sense of unease while playing the prologue. It does a great job establishing the tone of the game. The next chapter does a great job too, keeping on track with the tone and giving us exposition about the world just through environmental storytelling. There are lots of other great examples like the sewers, Pittsburgh, the university, and a couple of other areas you explore that are so rich with history and so much detail. It's just mwah. The only time the game doesn't use environmental storytelling is when they really need an emotional performance, so a cinematic will play. Cinematics are the closest thing a video game gets to a movie, and in the case of The Last of Us, these cinematics are done through motion capture, where the actors are wearing a mocap suit. They're in a giant room with a bunch of cameras recording just the mocap suits, so that little nuances in the actor's performance show through the characters.
I don't even know.
Here's how this thing's gonna play out. You don't bring up Tess. Ever.
A scene I really like is this scene, where after Ellie rode off on a horse and you go looking for her, you find her in this house, and there's an exchange of dialogue between the two.
Is this really all they had to worry about? Boys? Movies? Deciding which shirt goes with which skirt? It's bizarre.
Get up. We're leaving. Come on.
And if I say no?
Do you even realize what your life means? Huh? Running off like that, putting yourself at risk? It's pretty goddamn stupid.
Well, I guess we're both disappointed with each other then.
What do you want from me?
Admit that you wanted to get rid of me the whole time.
Tommy knows this area.
Oh, frick!
Throughout this point in the game, Joel hasn't really been comfortable with Ellie. He didn't want to know her.
So instead of just staying in school, you decide to run off and join the Fireflies, is that it?
Look, I'm not supposed to tell you why you're smuggling me, if that's what you're getting at.
You wanna know the best thing about my job? I don't gotta know why. To be honest with you, I give two shits what you're up to.
He didn't want to do this job. Even when it was just take her to the Capitol building, he didn't want to do it.
I want Joel to watch over her.
Whoa, I don't think that's
Bullshit,
the
I'm not
best
going
Ellie.
with him.
Look, just take her to the North Tunnel and wait for me there.
Jesus Christ.
Just cargo, Joel. You've got to get this girl to Tommy's. He used to run with this crew. He'll know where to go.
No, that was your crusade. I am not doing that.
Yes, you are.
Having to take care of this girl is something really emotional to Joel, because he couldn't even take care of his own daughter, because even though he looks like a really nice dad, he isn't that good of a dad. Sarah says this in her letter for Joel. When the pandemic hits, he doesn't pack any food or water or clothes or put shoes on Sarah. He literally just leaves his house and packs nothing, and his daughter dies. Great job, Joel. You're a great father. I mean, let's look at this family you passed by earlier in the prologue, where you can actually see them packing luggage onto the car. Oh. Okay, yeah, sure, just... Never mind. But Ellie isn't Sarah. Ellie is a very capable character who wants to help, but is constantly denied by Joel, because I guess Joel doesn't want anything bad to happen to her.
What? I need a gun.
No, you don't.
Joel, I can handle myself.
No.
In this scene, Joel gets mad at Ellie for not doing what he said, even though Ellie saved his life.
And you just hang back like I told you to.
Well, you're glad I didn't, right?
I'm glad I didn't get my head blown off by a goddamn kid.
You know what? No. How about, hey, Ellie, I know it wasn't easy, but it was either him or me. Thanks for saving my ass. You got anything like that for me, Joel?
We gotta get going.
But Joel eventually does see that she can fight, she can help, this is something she wants to do.
What about me?
You stay here.
This is so stupid. We'd have more of a chance if you let me help.
I am. You seem to know your way around a gun. You reckon you can handle that?
And admits he was wrong.
And just so we're clear about back there, it was either him or me.
And Joel starts to care about Ellie. And Ellie starts to feel the same way too, where Ellie will stay with Joel no matter what. Even when this truck is chasing after them, she stays with him.
We stick together.
But Joel doesn't want to finish this job. Joel goes to his brother and asks him if he could finish the job.
Well, I figure they're your boys. You finish the job, you collect the whole damn payment.
I haven't seen a firefly in years.
You know where they are.
It seems like Joel cares about Ellie, but is trying hard to convince himself he doesn't want Ellie. But Ellie wants to stay with him, and all these emotions show in this scene that's brilliantly acted.
Not her, you know.
What?
Maria told me about Sarah.
Ellie?
And
You are treading on some mighty thin ice here.
I'm sorry about your daughter, Joel. But I have lost people too.
You have no idea what loss is.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
You're right. You're not my daughter. And I sure as hell ain't your dad.
I just wanted to quickly talk about these two shots that's near the end of the game. I don't want to talk spoilers or anything, but just I like these two shots. So in this shot, Joel's on the floor, Marlene's looking down on him, and it's a high angle shot. There's a similar shot later where Marlene is on the floor and Joel's looking down on her. Unlike the previous shot where Marlene was standing and there was a Firefly guy behind her taking her orders, it's Joel standing up and Marlene on the floor. It's to show Marlene is weak and Joel's better than her.
You just come after her.
Makes sense, because Marlene's a pretty garbage leader for the Fireflies. When you first meet her, she's shot half dead, and even though she leads a militia, she has to rely on these two strangers she's never met before to take care of the cure of mankind. You're a great leader, Marlene. Keep it up.
Don't waste this gift, Joel.
On the gameplay side of things, it's a third-person cover shooter. But unlike other games where you can hold an arsenal of weaponry and you have a million ammo for your millions of guns, you have little ammo and resources in this game, and those resources are scarce. So when you're in an area with a bunch of dudes or infected, you have to think, how am I going to get through this area while sparingly using my resources? To find more resources, you have to explore the game world, and for me, I'd be on a harder difficulty because I found too much stuff. Like, I had too much stuff to the point where the game won't even allow me to hold more stuff. While exploring, you can encounter optional dialogue with Ellie, because Ellie will actually look around her environment and comment on things.
These posters are everywhere.
I saw this right before the outbreak.
You did? Does he totally gut her by the end?
Nobody gets gutted. It's a dumb teen movie.
Who dragged you to see it then?
I don't know. Let's just stay focused, all right?
She'll even help you in combat. Going back to environmental storytelling, her looking around and helping Joel shows her character. There are little things in her AI that is kind of bothering. Like, when you aim a gun at her, she doesn't react at all. But yet, even though they thought of these little details, like when you point a flashlight at her, she'll actually raise her arm up and try to block the light out of her eyes. She won't even get out of your line of sight. It's just, I thought that was weird. There's different enemy types in the game. First, there's human enemies, who are the most intelligent in the game. You got the infected. They're a pretty neat twist on zombies, where instead of being a corpse walking around, it's an actual living thing that's growing. And they have this really cool life cycle where they start off as a runner, which is your normal traditional zombie, to a stalker, which isn't important because they're like in two areas of the game, to a clicker, which can't see, but they have really sensitive hearing, so try not to make a bunch of noise around them because they'll one kill you. To lastly, the bloater, where it's nothing but fungus, and it's the most toughest enemy in the game. They each have a unique design and a unique way of moving, so you can easily tell them apart. The puzzles are pretty bad. It's just move this ladder or crate and slowly move it to this location and climb it. Or there's a body of water and Ellie can't swim, so you have to get a pallet and move her here. I'm not a fan of the way Joel moves, but for the game it works fine. The music is amazing. It does a fine job. It does an amazing job of fitting the tone, mood, and setting of the game. Just the main theme is just mwah. I'd say any gamer should give this game a try. It has great characters, great story, great writing. The world is interesting with all sorts of little details to see. The game for the time looked amazing. Still kind of does hold up. Gameplay does get repetitive, but the game is really good. It definitely deserves the 200 awards it got. Little advice for those willing to play this survival horror game: you pretend you're the guy and you don't want to die.
There's no rhyme or reason to this game. We're the patterns. He just attacks out of left field.
Now, if you'll excuse me, The Last of Us Part 2, The Last of Us Part 2, The Last of Us Part 2, The Last 2020, May 29th, 2020, May 29th, 2020, May 29th, 2020, May 29th.